Hello everyone, Find Me in LA here. Hope y'all are having a wonderful day so far. At the time of this recording, Universal's FanFest Nights has officially concluded. So now, I want to take this time to make a review for the event. I want to talk about all the attractions and really get into detail about what I thought about them. So let's not waste any time, let's just jump straight into it. First thing I want to dive right into is the overall vibe of the event. And what I mean by that is how exactly the energy is while I'm at the park. For example, during HHN, the vibe is very much frat boy, party animal energy, especially in the scare zone with the fire towers. The vibe during FanFest was definitely a bit more laid back. This event did feel a bit more family friendly, but it still felt like it was geared more towards people in their 20s and 30s. Instead of the usual EDM and dubstep, the playlist or the background music for FanFest is basically a mix of 80s and 90s hits. But honestly, I was not complaining at all. One thing I also noticed was that there were times where the park looked damn near empty. I'm guessing it's because it was the first year of a brand new event and wait times were pretty low as well. Honestly, the longest lines I waited in FanFest were the ones for the food and photo ops. And speaking of food, I have to talk about all the food offerings in this event. In the past, whenever a limited time event at Universal came around, they always sold exclusive meals, but it's literally just the same old burgers and brisket sandwiches and chicken tenders and shriveled dried tacos and 22-inch hot dogs that has that kind of chili that nobody likes. So yeah, just more or less like just regular Universal stuff. So naturally, I wasn't expecting much from FanFest, but overall, I was pleasantly surprised. First thing I got was the Back to the Future patty melt from Mel's Diner. I originally wanted a dark brown chicken pot pie, but I saw how small it was and I was like, oh no, that's not. But the patty melt was okay, just typical Mel's Diner grub, but I enjoyed it. And then there's Quark's Cafe, which is themed to Star Trek. There, I ordered a $16 alcoholic drink called the Andorian Ale. I thought it was gonna be like a regular looking drink, but instead, I got this. I genuinely thought I was getting pranked. I was thinking to myself, like, are they gonna give me more drink? And they just ran out of big cups. The drink itself was pretty boring, and on the rim was cake frosting with Pop Rocks. I didn't dislike the actual drink, but I was borderline offended because I could have paid that same amount of money on a drink with a regular size cup. Totally unacceptable. But then I also purchased the Andorian Red Bat Sandwich. It contained grilled chicken breast with aioli, arugula, charred red onions, all in between two blue-dyed bao buns. I felt like all of these ingredients complemented each other very well to make a very unique tasting and delicious sandwich. Then, I went to Three Broomsticks. I originally wanted a simple plate of food, but that's when I discovered they were selling 3-course meals just for FanFest, all for only 39 bucks. So of course I had to get this. For my appetizer, I got the meat pie, which is a 4 out of 5. For the entree, I had the fish and chips, which had a grilled lemon slice and mashed peas on the side. That was also really good. And for the dessert, I got the golden snitch, which is a chocolate mousse ball with a sponge cake center. This is another 4 out of 5, and overall, the 3-course meal is a solid W. Located in the lower lot is the Dungeons and Dragons Tavern. I had the Eldritch Blast drink, which was pretty good. I didn't buy a Hunter's Mark sandwich, but I did try a bite or two from somebody that I went with, and oh my god, just from those 2 bites alone, I thought that was the best item in the entire event. So again, the food offerings I can confidently say are some of the best that Universal has had yet. Not without its duds, but overall, I was really surprised with most of the food. Now enough horsing around, let's dig into the real meat of this event, the in-world experiences. Let's discuss them in the order that we see them as we make our way to the park from the front gate. So, let's talk about Star Trek first. Star Trek Red Alert is a walkthrough experience that was advertised as a tour of the Starship Enterprise, but then something goes wrong. When I first walked in, I was very intrigued with the setup, and just the whole beginning of the attraction reminded me so much of Disney's Tomorrowland. You walk into a room with a live performer actually interacting with us, but then some strange entity makes a disturbance and causes parts of the ship to malfunction. They tell us to head into the next room, and it's more or less the same thing, you know. We do this 3 more times. Every scene was literally just Star Trek characters pacing around the room stressing out over this entity, which, spoilers, didn't arrive with malicious intent. Because of that, the whole attraction felt kind of repetitive. I can't lie, the story was kind of hard to follow, and the overall experience could have been a bit more exciting. It was still cool, it was pretty cute, it was exciting, but I don't know, I guess I just wanted more. I haven't seen Star Trek, so maybe I'm missing some context to truly appreciate it. I do hope true Trekkies enjoy Red Alert, because after all, they are the target demographic. For me, I thought it was just okay, it was decent. Located between the Universal Plaza and Kung Fu Panda was One Piece. It was advertised as a fan zone, so I thought it was gonna be like a scare zone where you have characters walking around the street. But what it actually was a collection of photo ops where you could take pictures of the characters from the anime. On one hand, I was let down that they weren't walking around the street. On the other hand, I'm glad that wasn't the case and Universal made the smart decision, because if they were walking around, people would stop to take pictures with them anyway, but this time in the middle of the street instead. I personally didn't take any pictures with any of the characters because I never seen One Piece, but I did hear good word of mouth from fans of the anime, and I'm glad they seemed pretty happy with the whole experience. Inside the Kung Fu Panda show was Jujutsu Kaisen. I forgot to mention earlier that I went to FanFest for 2 nights. The first time I saw this show was during the last hour of the night, and there were only a few people in the audience. I wasn't expecting much from the show, but I actually thought it was pretty decent. I thought it was going to be like a regular projection show, but the seats actually move with the action. I originally gave it like a 7 out of 10, but I did hear that Universal in Japan has this exact same show, and they just copy and pasted it here, which would explain the Universal Japan jokes. But that didn't make me dislike it, I still enjoyed it. The second time I saw it, it was shortly after opening with a packed audience, and the audience clearly had lots of fans of Jujutsu Kaisen because they were all cheering for the fan favorite characters, and every time they did like a special ultimate move, it was really cool seeing everyone all happy and excited, because like I said with Star Trek, at the end of the day, as long as the target audience is happy, then that's a win in my book. Then we have Harry Potter. The only new stuff they had besides the 3-course meals were 3 magical creatures that you could see and a new projection show in the Hogwarts castle. I didn't watch the show simply because it didn't interest me, and the only creatures I saw were the little platypus and the big bird thing on the performer's shoulder. In my honest opinion, I thought the overall inclusion of the Wizarding World in FanFest was pretty underwhelming. Besides the food they had, I would have been okay with them just leaving it as it is regularly and not advertise it as something that's on the same level as, say, Back to the Future, which is what we're gonna talk about next. Located in Courthouse Square, where the original movie was actually filmed, Back to the Future Destination Hill Valley was what probably made the biggest buzz out of all the attractions featured in FanFest, and it's not hard to see why. Quick summary of what the attraction is like. When you first enter the line queue, you're greeted with an 80s playlist and the clock tower lady from the movie, giving you the impression that you're in 1985. You then take a tram, and while you're on your way to Courthouse Square, you travel back in time to 1955. The area is decked out to actually look like the 50s, from the music to the way the characters are dressed. Any character from the movie that you can think of were present in this attraction. So it's not just Doc and Marty, but it's also George and Lorraine, and also Biff and the principal, and even Goldie, the guy who becomes the mayor in the future. Even Einstein the dog was there in a really cool photo op. Another cool thing from this is that you actually get to see all the iconic scenes from the movie acted out in front of you. From the moment Marty first arrives with Mr. Sandman playing, to the moment where he shreds the guitar to Johnny B. Good. The whole thing ends with a projection show, recreating the climax where lightning strikes at the clock tower at 10:04 p.m. This whole attraction was just one successful giant love letter to the classic film, and that's why it's my personal favorite attraction in FanFest. The only issue I have with it is that it does take a while to get there, and when you're done with it, it takes a while to return to the park. That's because you go through the route of the regular studio tour. I know there's nothing that could be done to make the trip faster, but I think they could have added like a little bit more videos in the monitors, but all they had were just 2 or 3 videos of Doc Brown talking about time travel. Not enough footage to make the ride not awkward and quiet. But other than that, Back to the Future was a 10 out of 10 attraction. Down in the lower lot is Super Nintendo World, and for FanFest, they had all things Yoshi. Yoshi-themed food in the Toadstool Cafe, a Yoshi egg scavenger hunt, and you could even take a picture with the man himself. I have a love-hate relationship with the egg hunt. I love how you get to play a game in the land based on a game. Very poetic. However, I didn't care very much for the reward that you get for finding all the eggs. The reward was advertised as this cool, unique Yoshi experience, but it was actually just a picture with a different colored Yoshi. I wouldn't have minded it that much if the wait wasn't so long. I waited over 40 plus minutes. The line moved so slowly, I've seen people leave the line more times than the line actually moved. Yeah, I did appreciate the fact that they did something cool, unique, especially compared to Harry Potter, but I didn't think it was worth missing out on all the other cooler experiences. Last, but certainly not least, is Dungeons & Dragons: Secrets of Waterdeep. I know nothing about D&D, and I've never played a single campaign, but I had this gut feeling that this was going to be one of the better attractions, and not only was I right, but my expectations were even exceeded. It's a very similar experience to Star Trek, where you walk into different rooms and stop in each one to see stuff played out. But if you compare the two, it's apparent that D&D just blows Star Trek out of the water. No offense to any Trekkies. There's just so much more going on in terms of excitement and the special effects. Only complaint is that we as a group were separated into like 4 different roles, but they didn't really do anything with that, and they might well just not have like included that aspect. But overall, this was a close second for my favorite FanFest attraction, right behind Back to the Future. And that is all for Universal FanFest Nights. Overall, I really enjoyed this event, and I'm gonna miss it. I really hope they bring it back next year. I only have one suggestion if they decide to bring it back. I just hope they add more nights. I think there were only 12 nights in total this year. They definitely need to add more next time. Universal's new event was a home run in my opinion. I had fun both times that I went. Every other theme park enthusiast seemed to really enjoy this as well. So hopefully all that positive feedback is what convinces Universal to bring it back next year. Let's just cross our fingers. And right before I wrap this video up, I just want to give a quick huge shout out to Renee, who recognized me when I was at the park during my second night for FanFest. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If any of you have attended FanFest, what did you think of it? Let me know down in the comments. If you like what you saw, go ahead and give this video a like. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you stuck around to the very end of the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you're wondering what I'll be doing next, you can always find me in LA.